Hello friends and enemies. Welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me Isabel here with your Romancelandia monthly for March. I'm going to tell you to grab a snack, grab a drink, settle in, get ready to skip ahead if something is not for you, because this is for sure one of the roughest and weirdest months we've had to date. You know, and we're as close to the end of the month as we can get with this one, so it's fingers crossed nothing else pops off. Personally, just prepping this episode was a lot. So yeah, because of that alone, I'm like, we've got to mix some funny stuff in because my God, so much happened. And I had to cut things because if I did not, this was going to be way too long. So first things first, Bloom Books is marketing the new Be Celeste as a romance. The book is called Past Broken Bridges. And it's not a romance. Like, one of the characters dies at the end. That is not a romance. I want to give you the heads up now. You can read it if you're interested, but that is 100% a love story, not a romance. So, like, know that going in. The other thing is Row House Publishing is creating a romance-first digital imprint. So that's really exciting. I'm curious to see what they publish, what comes of this. I'm always excited to see new romance imprints. Next, we have our first two bad bookish events. So first we're going to talk about the Fantastic Ball, something like that. I don't know. This happened in New Jersey. There's one coming up in Dallas at some point. And apparently it was a mess, but also some people had a great time. So we all have different bars set, obviously, for what is a good or bad book event. But this to me sounds not great. So the experience range for me was like the red flag of this was a fail. You want most people to come away saying they had a good time. The tickets were $425. Or $485 with Eventbrite fees. That included a swag bag, access to the event, access to the ball. When people checked in on Thursday, the swag bags were just those bulk ordered canvas tote bags. And then they had stations to decorate them. They also got a little key, like a charm that's a key, I guess. They got a notebook that they could also decorate. And then there were 600 t-shirts missing. They were supposed to be t-shirts, they were missing. By Friday morning when people came to check in, the swag was gone. People had cleared it, which does not surprise me. I was at the Apollicon where people were taking things out from under a table. It was wild. They promised an open bar. There was no open bar. They did apologize. Appetizers were said to be at the event. They had a cheese board table. That's not appetizers. That's a cheese board table. It's a charcuterie board. They had 12 vendors for 1,200 people. That's 100 person per table at a time. So that also for me flew up the red flag because there's some more about how many tickets they sold. So they had a fashion show and a panel with Designer Daddy, who I watched some of the drama about it. I'm not going into the Designer Daddy drama here because it's not romance related, but what a time. Wow. So Designer Daddy did a fashion show and there's a lot of issues with Designer Daddy and all these things. So you can research that if you would like to learn something about it. The panel that they had for the event, the one panel was them talking about the event and how much they love SJM's books. That's an opener or a closer. That's not your one panel. Okay. They sold like a high tea ticket. So if you got that, like your tickets were well over $500, probably close to $600. They were promised an exclusive gift. There was no gift. And it was at most a continental breakfast with no meat, just pastries and tea or coffee. And they were promised like a white glove tea service. So there's that. I don't know when the high tea happened because that goes into this too. Then the ball, you were supposed to get a glass of champagne as you entered. Some people did, some people didn't. People got locked out of the castle the ball was at one point. So that's interesting. And by the time they came in, the food was already cleaned up. And I think the reason people got locked out is the venue's max capacity was 900 people and they have 1,200. 1,200 people instead. So there's that. And then my favorite thing that happened is the apology video, which I'm just gonna play for you because I think it was so funny. I got this apology video in my feed and I was like, wow, this is how I want every apology video to go from here on out.
Y'all, we did it. Happy Monday after the Fantastic Star Ball weekend. Thank you guys so freaking much for coming to this event. Like, I really, truly appreciate it. I am obviously very comfy and cozy, so just ignore. I also might be feeling a little icky, so if I cough during this, I do so apologize. But I did want to come on here specifically because we wanted to, as a company, just quickly kind of address all the things, guys. This was, although we had so many incredible moments, so many successes with this event, we are very much aware that this was not a perfect event. We know there were issues, we know there were shortcomings, and we are doing everything in our power to try and make sure that those are taken care of, fixed for people. So I just wanted to kind of go through and address it, if that's okay. First, one of the things that I am seeing, I just want to make sure we have clear understanding. These tickets were not $500, they were $425. I just want to make sure that we have the accurate information there. There probably was sales tax on top of that from Eventbrite, as well as maybe an Eventbrite fee. We did use Eventbrite, but we charged $425 for these tickets. Now, first order of business is going to be our swag bags. Guys, trust me, I understand. I do. These were a letdown for you guys, and I'm so sorry. I want to make sure that we get you guys something that was really great. So just to give you some transparency on what happened with the swag bags, we had an idea that it would be cool to have you guys decorate it almost like an art studio, get to decorate your own swag bag and then put things in it. We did order quite a bit of swag, but apparently not enough. And what we should have done, this is obviously 2020 hindsight, what we should have done is we should have made sure to fill it ourselves as the company, distributed it evenly. We ran out of stuff very quickly. So my apologies to anybody who got a very disappointing experience with the swag bags. What we've done, just so you guys are aware, after this event, we did send out a massive Google form for feedback on several different parts of the event, so that we can get better feedback, we can do better next time, you know what I mean? But also so that we can address some of these issues and let you know what we're gonna do to fix it. And one of the things that we were talking about doing is just redoing the swag bags and sending them to the attendees. So make sure that if you were there, you fill out that form. We sent it to the like RSVP list. Everybody, all the emails that were on the RSVP list, we sent out this email to. So make sure that if you're on that list and you like get that email, make sure you fill it out so that we can know if you want a redo swag bag, so that we can get those to you, you know. And moving forward, just so you know, I want to make sure we address the issue that happened and what we're going to do to make sure it never happens again, kind of thing. We're going to just be distributing our budget much differently. We're going to make sure that we do like prepared, custom ordered swag bags, not decorated swag bags. If we do the decorated thing again, it'll more just be like an activity that will be part of maybe like our festival or something, rather than what you get. So that's how we're going to be fixing it. Next up, I want to address the fact that like there was a cash bar at the Evening Starfall Festival. We had promised on the ticket that there would be an open bar at the festival. This was literally just a miscommunication, invoicing on my part with the venue. I do apologize for that. Guys, I'm so sorry. Like, that was a huge mistake on my part. And so what we did, I immediately addressed it with the venue, talked to them. Unfortunately, we couldn't change it right then. So what I did is I got up on the microphone and I let everybody know right in that moment that we would be doing a partial refund. We're definitely not pretending that that didn't happen. We wanted to address it immediately with the attendees to let you guys know, like, we'll still get you a partial refund for that. I mean, you guys paid for open bar, we didn't deliver, we're gonna get you a partial refund. And if you got the email as well last night, there's more information on that in there. So make sure you look for that email. If you didn't get it, please email info@fantasticcollection. As a disclaimer, I would like to address the drinks at the hotel bar. Guys, those were not designed by us. I wanna make sure that that's very clear. We try to keep things very copyright clean, copyright compliant, and just want to put this disclaimer that that was not designed by us, just so we're aware. Oh, and the other thing that I wanted to address as well with check-in, I totally forgot about this, but I'm gonna put it in here, was for t-shirts. So my apologies for the delay in t-shirts. I'm so sorry. There were weather delays and we only had a short window of time to deliver items right before the event to the Sheraton. So unfortunately, I just didn't make it in time. We've rerouted them to Phoenix and we're gonna be shipping them out to every single attendee. That way you guys get the t-shirt that was promised to you. I had looked at the reviews, like feedback that we'd gotten so far in our form that we sent out. And one of the questions was, why wasn't this done months ago instead of before the event? Well, reason being, just to give you some insight, some clarity, and some transparency, we could totally ask for t-shirt sizes. When we sell tickets on Eventbrite, we totally could. However, that doesn't help us if there's resales, because then that size may change for that ticket, you know what I mean? And so unfortunately, we genuinely cannot order the t-shirts for the correct amount of sizes until we finish our RSVP forms, which are usually like cut off at like 30 days out. So that, just to give you some insight, that's why we don't order the t-shirts until closer to the event, specifically because of that. Another person asked, like, why didn't you just travel with them? For Colorado, it was 600 t-shirts, and they came in 12 huge, like, heavy boxes. A little hard to travel with that as well, because we're flying from Arizona. And so for this event, it would have been closer to like 24 boxes of t-shirts. So we thought, you know, let's skip a step. Let's not have to drive across country. Let's deliver them to the hotel. Our mistake. So what we're doing in the future, always want to address what we're doing in the future, is we're going to actually just find someone local to the area that we're doing an event in, whether it's Jersey or Denver or whatever it is, you know. We're going to find a connection that's there first and ask if we can ship it to them right after RSVPs close. That's what we're going to do. That way it's already there. We don't have to worry about it. We have plenty of leeway. The only reason this was so close to the event that we were shipping is because we only had a small window of time before the event took place to ship to the Sheraton. So again, our apologies for that, but we are going to make sure, rest assured, that you will get your t-shirt. Lastly, I just want to sincerely apologize to those of you guys who were on the way to the venue, the castle, for the ball, who got stuck outside the gate. The gate closed sometime around 5:55 p.m. We were made aware that the gate was closed, so we immediately walked down to the front to see what was going on. My understanding is the gate was closed for about anywhere between like 17 to 20, I think 23 minutes. And so as soon as we were made aware of it, we got right down to that office. It took us a while to get down there because that venue is huge. But as soon as we figured out what the miscommunication was like security closing the gate, we got it open for you. We even asked if there was a way that we could extend dinner for those people. And they let us know, because we were supposed to have dinner from 5 to 7. So they let us know that we could extend it to 7:15. And we said, yes, let's do that for those people so that they can get in and get food. So I just want to take a second to apologize to those people. I know that was probably stressful, so stressful. I would have been stressed. Moving forward, we're going to be just doing much more communication with the venue, much more communication with staff, having more of just our staff, just so you guys are aware. We will definitely be hiring more staff for our team for the next event, because my gosh, this was tough on our team, like physically demanding, mentally demanding. It was a great time, like we loved doing it, but we definitely need more hands. So we'll definitely be hiring more help as well. All that to say, my gosh, I know we are not perfect, guys. We are human. We are human here. And we are not trying to pretend like these hiccups didn't happen. They did, and we are trying to address them and make sure that we get them fixed for you guys so that you can still trust us as a company, you know, still trust us in your event experiences with us. Know that we not only took notes of everything that happened, we're getting more feedback from you guys as attendees, and we are going to be immediately implementing changes so that we never have these issues again. You know, the more you know, the better it gets. And that's the one thing I can be really grateful for with these hiccups is now I know so much more about what we can do to make this event even better for you guys. So I thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. I know this is super long, but I really appreciate you. We hope you stick around for Fantastique. We love you guys. Thank you for everyone who had a great time, who's posting beautiful videos. I got like no footage. So if you could send it to me, please do.
Did you notice that? She's cozy. It went well. And here's where people were wrong. Get the pricing right. And I'm just like, you have to consider Eventbrite fees in your pricing. People are going to include them in what they paid. But this is just bananas. Bonkers. What do you mean? You're having another one in Dallas. I'm scared for everyone. But also, I just think this is another reminder, as is the next event. Not everyone can be an event planner. And event planning is a job, and it's a task, and it's not easy to do. I've planned like mini events, and it's draining. I cannot imagine trying to do some of these things. Event number 2. Event 2 is Romance in the Desert. I believe this was in Arizona. They charged authors $179 a table at the event. Not terrible. Honestly, not terrible at all. Attendees were charged $229. Apparently there were only like 17 authors total potentially. It was marketed as an event that was going to have over 150 people. There was nowhere near that. The event had no panels planned. Nothing really was there. They tacked on a breakfast towards the end of the event because of how like much of a mess it was, I guess. But this just sounded like the most disappointing thing. Basically, this author posted about attending it and talked about how the other authors attending like tried to band together to make panels and make it better for attendees. And that just breaks my heart because this is, again, a reminder that you have to, I don't know, you have to trust the people who are planning these events. And sometimes you put your trust in the wrong spot and it sucks because you wasted freaking money on this like cartoonishly bad event to attend. Romance in the Desert, at least, was not excessively expensive for attendees for $229, but compared to other events where you could have paid that or a little more and gotten fed and met 100+ authors, it just isn't the best option. I just found this so just disappointing. I felt really bad for the author who posted the thread. I will link to it for you if you're curious. But yeah, so I guess we need to, I would, if you are going to attend an event, make sure it's not the person that organized this one because this sounds bad. I don't know that you can recover from that. All right, let's talk about Sophie Lark. You've probably seen her floating around lately because boy, was that a time. Again, when I tell you March, chaos. And not my kind of chaos, not the fun chaos, not the like little soft chaos world that I live in. Full-blown chaos. Like pure chaotic evil was March. Sophie Lark had a new book coming out through Bloom Publishing because she's been picked up by them for most of her distribution now. And that book is Sparrow and Vine. Well, Sophie had some really questionable quotes. I'm going to put them up here and I'm going to summarize them to you. I'm not going to read them in full. One of the quotes is that shouldn't someone with a questionable work visa be picking the grapes? This book is set at a vineyard. The other very questionable quote is that she had a character in here who loved Elon Musk. One of the main character's siblings or something is like obsessed with Elon Musk. Now, as far as I remember, Sophie drives a Tesla pre some of the things with Elon, but I still find it questionable. I'm gonna post her apology because that has of course since been deleted and her Instagram has been scrubbed meticulously. Very meticulously, her Instagram has been scrubbed. But her apology is quite something. So if you want to read all of the apology, you can pause here and read it because I'm not going to read it all to you word for word. It's a couple slides. I would like to point out that Sophie, number one, used 2024 as an excuse, and I'm sorry. We knew Elon Musk was a problem in 2024. We've known, if you've paid any attention, you've known Elon Musk has been a problem for a while. I can give a pass to if this was older than 2016-ish maybe, and you didn't know. I can give a pass to people that have owned Teslas forever because that was the only EV you could get and then get like the tax credit stuff. Like, again, situations. Like, I know the wait list, all that stuff. But 2024 is no longer a pass for Elon Musk commentary that is positive in any capacity. And the same thing that immigrant issues have been ongoing for a very, very long time in this country. I'm in a state that is attempting to ban any immigrant that does not have the proper paperwork and put them in jail. So we can't pretend this is just a haha funny because it's not a haha funny because you know exactly who you're targeting with the statement about questionable visas and underpaid work. And we all know who you're saying. So like that's not cool at all. I also find that commentary really, really weird because as far as I know, Sophie Lark is from Canada and immigrated to the US. So you're better because you did it a certain way. Like, I have feelings about that. I think it's real weird. The outcome of this, surprise, surprise, the book was pulled by Bloom. She posted the apology. She's now deleted the apology. I had to go dig for it, and luckily I had screenshotted it. And then also deleted a lot of things that showed that she was an immigrant and a lot of other things about her. And then this also led to people coming out about working with her and having bad experiences, including an artist that she used to commission and then just cut off out of nowhere and like removed crediting from her books for. Someone talked about issues in Bloody Heart, which is one of her Brutal Birthright series books, and some other just stuff like that. I know other books have had some issues that I was not aware of, but that I was like vaguely aware of and I think got fixed. And I know we've had some AI cover scandals with her books and Bloom. So again, things happen. I don't fully blame artists for some of that, because you may be getting a stock photo you think is not AI and turns out it is. So yeah, there's that. I also think that it's really interesting just overall how this played out. Many people did not try to defend her in this in any capacity. So that was good to see. But I just think it's alarming, to say the least, in the current climate of the world, and the current climate of the United States, because yikes on bikes. Some other things I found of note about Bloom and saw people talking about that I think we should bring up. And listen, I read authors that are signed to Bloom. I've just got a book sent to me from them. I don't hate Bloom, and I don't think they're doing something wrong with their strategy, but I think we should all, as like readers, be aware of what Bloom does. So Bloom Publishing is basically capping themselves at about 40 authors. They pick authors who have had viral success in some capacity. So their book is a top seller on Amazon or whatever. Bloom may pick them up, and they already kind of have a fan base going. Bloom is open to picking them up, potentially. Those are the kind of authors they're picking, and publishing their books for wide release in bookstores. That's a strategy. I mean, that's happening with all the publishers now. I don't really, feel some type of way about it, to be honest. It just is what it is. But that means that 38 authors they have signed to their thing out of the 40 so far. I believe 3 to 5 are authors of color. So like that's a really small percent. And I believe about 10 of them, give or take, I'm seeing estimates from different people of numbers, and depending on your gauge on what is and isn't problematic, are authors that have gotten into shit, have gotten into trouble in the reader space repeatedly. So I find that interesting. The other part, a little birdie told me, and I found this really fascinating because this plays into the stuff with Sophie, is that the authors all use the same editorial company called Tesseraire Editorial, which is owned by the director of editorial at Bloom. And I think that's interesting. I don't know if that's the norm in the publishing industry, to be honest with you, and I'm not going to go find out, but it just to me was interesting that the editorial company being used by Bloom for the most part for their authors is this one. I know other authors that use this one and are not at Bloom, so there's that too. But just fascinating little tidbit. And on that note, Sophie admitted in that apology that people at her editorial company suggested she change this or edit it and that it was offensive, and she didn't care. Like, that to me will always be the takeaway. If you had sensitivity readers or editors and other people tell you something was not okay, and you just said, that's fine, I'm still keeping it. That's all I need to know. That is all I need to know about you. Because we can all make mistakes. We can all say a thing and be like, oh shoot, that's not appropriate. And didn't know, because we don't know everything, right? We cannot as humans know everything. We always have to learn and grow on these fronts. So we can say, oh shoot, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Let me fix that in my life. And you make the effort to fix it. But when you get told that and you don't make any effort and you decide that I'm leaving it because it's important to the story, how is racism and showing support towards a character the only way you have to like make them into kind of a villain or like a questionable morality character? Because I don't think any of the mafia men I read would love Elon Musk in any capacity. So there's that. That's the Sophie Lark stuff. Another beloved by many, not by me, author, Jessa Hastings, stepped in it, y'all. She stepped in it. So Jessa posted a picture of this. I have so many questions because one, like, it just, like, like looking at that, right? It's AI. And like her whole thing, like she says, I requested ChatGPT to make a photo of her and wanted to make sure the character would not be as light as she is in the like Pinterest pictures or whatever that people use. But I'm also confused because that's a white lady with a bad tan. Like, that's a white lady with a bad tan. That just looks like a white lady with a bad tan. That's all I got. Because I do believe Magnolia Parks is half black? ? I don't know. I've never read these books. I have no desire. So someone in the comments who has can answer that question for me, but that's a white lady with a bad tan. I'm sorry. That's all I got for you. So she posted this, and then people called her out. So she posted this on stories, and was like, I was gonna do this whole thing with Magnolia, social media things, blah, blah, blah. I immediately got this, which is just people in the comments being like, I cannot believe you're using AI and all this stuff. And Jessa was like, well, it's not like I can just pop down to the park and take pictures of them. They're not real. But you could like use stock images to like curate an Instagram feed that was like, it was your characters. You could commission artists to make photos for you for that. So Jessa continued to have this meltdown on Instagram stories, which I'll share here. Like, she's basically like, you know, we could have had this and now we can't because of y'all. And then she's talking to her friend who tells her that basically she should just push the next book in the series as punishment because people dared to be upset about AI. She also says she likes her piece too much to use AI and still do this. So I guess she learned that lesson, kind of. And basically, yeah, her friend just encourages her to delay the next book. And I just think that's really weird behavior for using AI. You cannot tell me you have missed the conversations about AI because they are everywhere. And then I already was not a Jessa Hastings fan because there are older, now deleted Instagram stories where she is very pro-life in the very, 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 very forced birth manner. And I found out from somebody else that they shared that she's a member of Hillsong Church, which if you don't know about Hillsong, there's a documentary you can watch. That is the bonkers church some celebrities are in as well. And it's an evangelical mega church situation that is very, very pro-forced birth, anti-LGBT, anti-feminist, anti-women's rights, anti-anything and everything we would associate with non-progressive Christians. So, sealed the deal for me personally. Will not be reading those. I have no interest. And yeah, I just think to react this badly to people being like, hey, don't use AI, it's bad. I don't know. Questionable behavior at best, and at worst case, she's been using AI for other stuff with her books for a long time, and that's not great. All right, the thing you're waiting for, the thing you've been here for, I know, I'm aware. Y'all are like, we're however many minutes into this, I don't know where we're at right now, because I'm filming in sections, so I don't lose any footage. You're like, where is it, Isabel? Listen, we're here. We are pulling in to the driveway to discuss Tori Woods. Before I begin this discussion in any and all capacities, I want anyone who is a child abuse survivor and is sensitive to child sexual abuse material discussions and things around this to skip to the timestamp I'm putting down here. It will also be marked down below if you're watching on your phone or that and it has a little chapters. You can skip to the next chapter, okay? Like if you don't want to hear any of this. Telling you now to please, please, please proceed with caution. This discussion is a lot. It took me hours to get my notes together for this, okay? Like, I did all of Romancelandia and then I did this section, and I think they both took the same amount of time because there was just a lot this month. So yeah, proceed with caution. I'm giving you a minute here. I'm just babbling so you have time to scroll ahead or like jump forward before I dive in, because you need to protect yourselves first and foremost when it comes to this situation, because y'all, there's a lot. Truly, there's a lot here. And I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of things to say and to discuss with y'all, and a lot of different elements of this conversation to be had. So our first one will be about Tori. So if you do want to skip ahead to the rest of the conversation, you can, but it's still going to reference some of this. So let's dive in. I think before we even talk about the current situation with Tori Woods, we have to acknowledge Tori Woods was writing as the author Lauren Ashley. And last summer, like summer 2024, she was called out for plagiarizing a book from S.T. Moore called The Baron's Second Chance. So I think this is just important to know because Tori Woods worked with the same people that she worked with as Lauren Ashley. I find that interesting. We'll discuss if that was a known or not known thing in a minute, because it seems to be, Tori says they didn't know. I don't know. But yeah, I just think it's interesting she wrote this book and then worked with the same people that she did as her other pen name. And I think it's interesting that someone who plagiarized a book now did this. This is all you got. Okay. So let's dive into what happened. The book that was released is called Daddy's Little Toy by Tori Woods. It came out in the middle of March. The book was initially marketed as a daddy dom little girl situation, so DDLG. Some clarity here. We're gonna lay this out right now. I feel like this book, before any of the things that were said about it, already feels like it's falling into the trap of someone who does not understand what the DDLG kink dynamic is and writing a book with it. At the end of the day, this is someone who did the barest surface level of searching around the kink, or heard the name, assumed things. And I need us to be very clear here that the actual kink dynamic itself does not include any actual illegal behaviors. It is not the same thing as what we are about to discuss in this book. That kink involves two adults agreeing to a dynamic. And we don't have to understand that dynamic or the appeal of it or any of those things, because it's not ours to have. If it's your thing, that's fantastic. I'm so happy for you. I don't need to know about it. Please. People tell me things sometimes in the comments, y'all. I don't need to know about it. But I also want to note that, like, again, we don't got to yuck somebody else's yum. You know, we don't, it's okay. We get to have preferences and they can have their preference, and that is fine. This is not a big deal. Because again, everyone's kink's not your kink, and that's okay. Like, it's totally okay. But I know people forget that. But yeah, I just want to note that, because like, I just feel so awful for people who are into that one, because I feel like they get a bad rap constantly because of people like this. Moving forward, ARC reviewers started calling out pedophilia in this book. You my viewers, y'all can go look that up. I will not be placing any quotes from this book on the screen. I will not be repeating any of them, but you can go look that up if you are so inclined. It is on Goodreads, I believe still. It is screenshotted all over Threads. I'm sure it's on Blue Sky. Like, you go look that up yourself. Because let us note, I will not repeat or put it up here because people on the internet do weird things. And that's a reason. I will also note that's a reason a lot of people aren't going to talk about the situation in some ways, because you could get things clipped and done weird to you for talking about it, right? So people called out this issue in the book. They also called out the dedication, where she basically says she won't look at the Wiggles or her kids the same. I don't know. It was weird. And we don't have the full context of the book in any capacity. So, like, also, you don't need to go in the comments and be like, well, you didn't read the... I know that. I haven't read other books that I have issues with, and I think could be targeted under this law. But the next thing is basically Tori posted the following on Instagram, and I'm going to have y'all pause to read. This is going to be up for about 20 seconds. So if you want to read through all of that, you can read it. This is where she says, and I'll give you like a brief summary after it stays up here. So pause in just a second for it if you want to read it. Okay, so basically Tori apologizes, said that this was like not her intention, and then also that the people she had worked with prior did not know it was her, that she had kind of potentially withheld things from the editor when submitting the book, which questionable to do. That's where we're at. That's kind of like the brief rundown of the situation. Now let's talk about some context I think that gets left out a lot in the conversation. So Tori Woods lives in Australia, specifically New South Wales territory. I think that's the right word. I hope I'm getting this right. I'm a dumb American. Australia has incredibly strict laws about child sexual abuse, including the fact that those laws have been on the books for 30 years, which I think is fascinating. And their laws are very different than our laws here in the United States, okay? And a lot of other countries around this stuff. So here is what the law says. And I'm going to read you the two statutes that I think would be applied and that it seems like other people are saying would also be applied. So, the law states, child abuse material means material that depicts or describes in a way that reasonable persons would regard in being all circumstances offensive. A reasonable person is a hypothetical person who is used to determine if someone acted with negligence or not, basically. Like, that's your non-lawyer definition of it. So, on the New South Wales things, we have 1A and 1D, which are the two that I feel like will most likely be utilized from the contents I saw discussed in this book. 1A is a person who appears to be or is implied to be a child as a victim of torture, cruelty, or physical abuse. And then 1D is the private parts of a person who appears to be or is implied to be a child. Tori is alleged to have committed these crimes, and I think that's something important we need to note here. You may morally feel she is guilty. The law has not proven that yet. We need to use the correct language, which includes the word allegedly. So Tori has allegedly committed these crimes. Tori was arrested March 21st and is set to appear back in court basically the day this video goes up, because that'll be the 31st in Australia. So we'll have an update soon. She is out on bail right now, so we'll see what happens. I just want to make sure that when you're discussing the alleged crimes Tori Woods has committed, you are using the word allegedly. People from Australia in various places on the internet have been like, please, please, please use the correct words, because if we don't, there's a chance the case will get thrown out. So Tori allegedly created child sexual abuse material, which is illegal in this place she lives, Australia. That's the other key point. We do not know if this law includes fictional books or not. We literally do not know. I could not find anything about that. The law, as I read it, is vague, as most laws are. And because of that, you know, we can't know until we see how the court of law treats it in Australia. All right, so that's what happened there. Again, if you want to read the excerpts, if you're really curious or any of that, you can go find them. I will not be sharing them. Let's discuss some of the conversations happening because of the Tori Woods situation and around it. As we start to have the conversation, one thing I want y'all to think about, and it's one of those, like, it's so philosophical and I hate it, but it's true, right? Morality versus the law. Just because it's legal, is it moral? Do you agree with every single law in the books? And just because it's moral, is it legal? And you have to determine those lines for yourself, and you have to decide what for you is the line, right? So, like, what for you determines that, like, something is illegal but is moral still and not an issue, or vice versa. So keep that in mind. Because I feel like we all have laws we don't agree with and would find immoral, but we are not, most of us, I mean, somebody here would probably be, who knows, are not lawyers or working as judges or people who put laws on the books. So keep that in mind with the conversation, because is what Tori Woods allegedly wrote immoral? Probably to me. I also feel that way about other books, though, that people love and adore. So there's that. Okay, first prong of the, like, conversation we're going to talk about is censorship. I will say this now. I think this conversation has leaned heavily into the Americans on the internet more than anyone else, because we are struggling here, right? Book banning is at an all-time high here in the States. Book banning is just a huge issue for us. And our current government, like with a law like they have in New South Wales, Australia, would use that law to ban everything. Which they don't even need that law to do it. They'll do it anyways, don't get me wrong. The United States of America government is not going to differentiate the kinds of books being banned. Someone said, you're Nora Roberts and this book, Daddy's Little Toy, same thing to them. Rebecca Yarros's Fourth Wing, same thing to them. You know, like, again, you can have your problems with an author, but I'm just saying, like, every single popular title that, like, goes around, they wouldn't care. Which means that, yes, that means the books you read that maybe aren't popular would also be at risk. But the good news is, on the censorship front, Australia's only ever banned 3 books, apparently. I did not fully vet this, but it seems like a lot of people were saying, like, yeah, we don't ban books here. And I was like, that's fascinating and great to see. So that's something to keep in mind with the censorship conversation. I also think the other part of this is, again, sure, they've only banned 3 books so far, but we must also remember laws are enforced by whoever is in power at the time. And we cannot always definitively say how or what ways a law will be enforced, no matter where in the world it is. Because, again, it all depends on the situation of who is in power at that time, unfortunately. But I do think a lot of the censorship fear here for us in America is that a law like this could be, something like this could inspire a law, right? Here, a law like that would 1000% be weaponized against anyone who is not a cis, het, and white. Like, plain and simple. And I think it's silly to not make the assumption that Moms for Liberty or somebody like that gets a hold of this story and runs with it to further their book banning agendas. That's my hot take. But also, in the same breath, I'm going to say this. We have to decenter ourselves as American on the internet, because we have to remember we are not the end-all be-all. There are other places in the world, and the world does not all work the same. Nor do they all have the same political climate we currently have here in America. So keep that in mind. Okay, the other conversation I saw, which I think is really interesting, and I think people forget, slash, you know, want to pretend this isn't the case, but a lot of people were really upset that people jumped from pedophilia to queerness and LGBTQIA+ books being banned. And I agree, it is upsetting. But we have to remember that in America and other places as well, I don't think we're the only country that does this or has right-wing people that do this. Right-wing conservatives do make that jump. That is their jump. That is what they go to. They claim that LGBTQIA+ books are promoting that they are part of that. Even though we, us non-crazy right-wing conservatives, understand the fact that that is not the case. That doesn't matter. That is still the jump that we see made constantly. And I don't think that that's not just the case here. I do think it happens elsewhere. But, you know, we have to remember, like, that's why that jump is happening. And like I said, I understand people being upset by that jump in the conversation. But I also think we just have to remember, like, how often is that an argument against queer books? Y'all, how often? How often is that argument used against trans identities? I'm just asking, like, think about it for a second, because that's what I saw when I saw that jump made. Personally, I was like, oh, yeah, you're thinking about how that is used in argument all the time. No, it's not okay, and it's not accurate, but that doesn't stop them. They don't care about accuracy. The other thing I noticed is the power people felt in the fact that they got this author arrested. And I think if you're an abolitionist or not, you should still be a little bit alarmed at how quickly people went from, oh my God, we did it, we got this author arrested for her child sexual abuse material, to who else? Who's next? Can we get this book banned? Can we get that author arrested? Can we do this? Can we do that? I mean, I saw countless calls to cancel this horror erotica author. Haunting Adeline, that one, we should get her arrested next. And I just think that's a little scary to see, because, like, people felt very self-righteous in the fact that the Tori Woods was arrested, I think. And talking to my Australian friend, the Australian government, when things get enough attention around this, they do tend to investigate and arrest the people. This is not abnormal for them, but this is all alleged. We have no proof. But the thing about all of that conversation that terrifies me the most, the like, who can we get next? Can we get this book, that book? People are conflating their personal preferences with what should be criminalized. Again, is a law moral by default and is your morality law situation. I just feel like perhaps people shouldn't be criminalized for preferences. That does not include if Tori Woods is found guilty of her crimes. But what I'm saying is, books between two adult characters that you don't agree with, I just don't think you should be calling for them to be arrested or banned. You can just not like a thing. It's okay to have preferences and opinions and tastes that are different from others. That's not how we should dictate access to a book by my one opinion is the end all be all. I just don't think that's the way to do it. That's so boring. Also, like, how boring would life be if, like, one person dictated what kind of books got published? Okay, next we have the other conversation I saw, which is like dark romance versus taboo / taboo romance. And a couple things, and what's okay across those genres. So first of all, taboo is not just in romance. Taboo is an across the board genre, like subgenre, tag, whatever you want to call it. You know, there are plenty of not romance titles that do explore someone who commits these kinds of crimes that Tori Woods allegedly committed where she lives, and they're okay, right? Like, they're considered fine, but they're not romance. Romance has an aspirational element to it, and I do think, like, again, books like Lolita were not, like, well beloved at the time, and have become more of a classic now. Love it or hate it, you can have feelings about it, but again, it's an unreliable narrator exploring, and you're supposed to be uncomfortable. Like, we should be able to read books that make us uncomfortable and that push boundaries sometimes to see why a thing's a problem, sometimes, like, to give you that extra step of empathy, and also to continue the, like, growth of that. But yeah, taboo exists outside of the romance genre, so I think that's important to note. But in the romance genre itself, I would consider a taboo book to include things like step-sibling or step-parent, large legal age gaps. So a lot of those exist, and that's where a lot of that falls into, usually. Not what is in Daddy's Little Toy. Well, Daddy's Little Toy pre her turning 18, those bits. Then dark romance is sometimes but not always taboo. Dark romance, generally speaking, I would say leans on darker themes, obviously, and situations in the books, kidnappings, mafia, violence, things like that. Like, Haunting Adeline is a dark romance. I don't think Haunting Adeline's really that taboo. Love it or hate it, Haunting Adeline is a great example of this. I don't love Haunting Adeline, but like, in Haunting Adeline, Zaid is hunting down pedophiles. So again, even in dark romance, pedophiles are the villain. So like, I don't think the argument or the discussion that like, well, all dark romance is at risk. Like, all dark romance is at risk in general if you live in the United States. All romance is at risk. All books are at risk in the United States right now. But people are also pushing for lines in the genres. And I think, again, with the censorship discussion, having hard-drawn lines is really hard because people will move the line, right? The goalpost will move continuously into what is and isn't okay. I think we have to remember, like, no matter where the line is, governments and other people will use the line of it's to protect our children as a defense to getting rid of these things or moving that goalpost around, right? To serve their needs. And that's not to say, obviously, what is in Tori's book is okay or not. We don't know yet. We don't know what the findings are going to be, right? I don't agree with it. Does that mean it should be criminalized? I don't, those are thoughts you guys can have. We can discuss it in the comments. Is it the same as an image or actual things happening? Again, we don't have any of that. Everything is alleged right now. So I just think that's something, part of the conversation to keep in mind as well. Like I said, we always do a lot of things in the name of protecting the children that sometimes maybe do more harm than good. History has shown us that over and over. So I want to ask a question to my Australian viewers, if anybody here has any idea on this, because this is the thing that's played in my head after reading the law for y'all of this. I'm not going to name names. Would a book with like a 16-year-old and adult love interest be considered illegal and part of this law? Because technically I saw the age of consent in Australia 17. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how it plays out for Tori Woods, what happens, because again, those laws there are much different than what we see in America. And then my reminder for my American audience, which is most of y'all, we have to decenter ourselves sometimes when this stuff happens. We have to remember this is happening not in our home. Will it be weaponized here? Possibly. We'll see what happens. But also we have to remember that most countries don't have the same free speech laws that we have here in America, and that really, really affects how some of this stuff is handled and what laws are made. Now, will I say that our free speech in America is always upheld? Maybe, maybe not. But either way, I think this is just a reminder for us and on the internet as Americans to make sure we just decenter a little and see how things work in other countries, because we should do that, and that's not a bad. So that's the entire Tori Woods situation. I'm gonna ask y'all to keep the comments polite down there about this one. Try and avoid specifics about what was in the book, because I just don't want anyone to have to see that if they wanted to skip this section. But if you have thoughts, feelings, and all that, let me know. Like I said, I've just been thinking a lot about it and like the implications of a law like this if enforced badly, because that's what I do. I think too much sometimes. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and I'm really curious to see what happens. I will update you accordingly. This section will not be getting its own dedicated video right now. I mean, nothing else is happening until we know, so I'll post a pinned comment when we know more, probably today, hopefully, but we'll see. I don't know how quickly things are going to come out from this case. All right, let's do some quickies. So I have some sad stuff, some good stuff, some funny stuff, all that good things coming up for you, but these are going to just be our little quickie segment to wrap up the video, because we need something not terrible, although the first one is sad. First two are sad, and then we're gonna go through some stuff. All right, first up, L.J. Smith, the author of The Vampire Diaries, passed earlier this month, and that's wild. She was in her mid-60s, so definitely too young, and I was really surprised when I saw the news. I was like, what do you mean? So that's just a sad day. The other thing I want to note is Vivian Stevens. The reason we have the romance genre we have today is in need of our help. There is a GoFundMe I will link to down below. It has hit its current goal. I do believe they bumped it, but basically she needs help affording home health and some stuff. So if you're interested, and Vivian is someone, I think if you are in the romance genre as a reader, you definitely should spend some time listening to interviews with her and some of the pieces about her, because truly we would not be here without Vivian. Other thing, I guess this is also not fun. I just want to give a heads up, because I know I have a couple authors who watch Romancelandia, but Facebook used Library Genesis to train their AI. So they have used people's books that were on this website to train their AI. including Nora Roberts. So that's going to be fun. But there is a whole article I will link to. You can use the search engine on that article to see if your book pops up, and that will let you know if your book was used. I think this is just wild because basically what Facebook's defense, or Meta's defense, I guess technically, of this entire thing is that they're going to call it fair use or something like that. And I don't know that that'll hold up in court. And if this goes to court and is actually a lawsuit, which I think it's going to be, I will be very curious how this turns out, because I do think that this is possibly our first like full go round with AI in the court of law. So very, very curious. All right, U.S. government updates. Woo! Not really, but whatever. Oklahoma bill that would potentially ban romance books is dead. It did not make it to the floor, so fingers crossed that stays the case. The other thing I want to point out is, these are not fun things either. We have silly stuff coming, I promise. Libby is having issues in Missouri because the Missouri government is trying to basically ban anything that allows access to things that they've deemed inappropriate. Again, the censorship conversation here. So if you live in the state of Missouri, please reach out to your representatives to talk to them about how important your Libby access and library funding is. The other not fun thing is that the current administration is gutting the funding for library stuff. So here's a little post from the Libraries Association, and I will link to the letter. You can sign the petition and stuff. And again, something else to reach out to your representatives about, please and thank you. So there's that. Okay, now for silly stuff. Are you ready? I've got some giggles for you, and then we'll do my bingo board. Hallelujah, we made it, y'all. We made it. So, silly stuff. So, Rita Kent fans are wild. Continue to be wild. I've never read Rita Kent, okay? Rita Kent's fans make any of the books that do appeal to me, like, hard to pick up, because I'm just like, y'all are a lot. Like, y'all are a lot. If you're a Rita Kent fan, y'all are a lot. Like, I'm telling you this right now. But basically, she announced this character Vaughn's book, and this person, I have it, I'll put it up here. In fact, pause here if you want to read all of it, but I'm going to tell you the highlights. So you can pause here. I'll put it up for like 15 seconds. So basically, this reader is upset that Rita Kent is writing a book with a gay character again because she thinks it's because God of Fury was so successful. And that is just not what they envisioned for that character. Highlights include, he better not be a bottom or I'll lose it. I haven't even read the Rita Kent verse. So I think they've read like one book, which is this character's parents. And then they encourage people at the end to write paragraphs of a post, like write up paragraphs and tag Rita Kent to beg for Vaughn to be with a woman instead of a man. This is why I could never be an author. I would be like, meet me outside. Let's go. Come on. I would not be Jessa Hastings level of like delay the book, but I would be like 10 toes down. I will never change a thing about the books. But also, it's their world in their head. You don't get to dictate your feelings to them. Lord. Bless their heart. Bless their heart. Because this is just the wildest take I've read in a long time. Our other funny news. Threads is the bad place. It continues to be the bad place. I hate Threads so much. But sometimes Threads gives me the best laugh of my life. Because there's a creator on Threads, Marianne's Bookshelf or something. I believe they may be a child. / 18-ish. Very young. They proudly went to Threads, made an account to do this, and are basically mad that someone had an Emily Henry book that they marked as currently reading, and they are not in the Berkeley program, and blah, 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 and how could you get that book? So they went on a tirade about it, and like, stop sending your friends your ARCs, stop sending your friends digital ARC copies, blah, 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 blah. So she's like pissed. She's like, how dare you have this book? All these things. Which, like, can we note, there's a lot of ways to access ARCs. And if someone is a bookseller or librarian, they often have access before we even do as readers who are on these platforms. And immediate, like, approval access, okay? So she went off and she's like, I'm gonna email the publisher to tattle on you. And they did, and then the publisher gave her an ARC for this book. They gave her an ARC for the new Emily Henry. So I guess she won. I don't know. I guess that was her goal. But, like, again, that whole personal preference, punitive justice vibes of like, I'm going to police what other people do, very high right now. It's all over Threads. Like, Threads is full of this behavior. Because somebody else I saw on the ARC thing was like, what do you all do with your ARCs after you're done reading them? What do you mean you just put them in little free libraries, like, you give them to people? That's wrong. And like, it's unethical to sell an ARC, but you can sell an ARC. It's technically not illegal. It's not enforceable. It is unethical and maybe immoral to sell it, but putting it in a little free library after release, or I have some to give away to my members, there's nothing wrong with that. We cannot keep every freaking book we get sent, y'all. That would be too many. And then like what? You'd be mad because we like threw them away or recycled them? So you can't have it both ways. But I just think it's really weird that people are very upset at what people do with ARCs. And it's just weird the commodification I've seen in the book space around ARCs more and more in the last few years. And like I said, this where people are trying to police, literally, what other people and how other people get ARCs. It's weird. And okay, other good news. NetGalley is working to support Kobo again with ARC delivery. So that's fantastic news because for a hot minute there, basically Kobo readers could not get ARCs at all anymore out of nowhere, but they are working on a solution. Also, good news because that means we are seeing a little bit of a lift on the chokehold Amazon Kindle has on the e-reader market. So that's exciting to see. And then last but not least, another silly one. Again, some people just policing how people do a thing in a way that does not matter. But people were very upset that Abby Jimenez writes her books on her phone. Do you know how many fics I read written on a phone? Like almost every single one. It's okay. It doesn't have to be how you would want to write a book, but I feel like the people are upset because it's not how they envision someone writing a book. But I am unsurprised. I bet a lot of authors that you don't even realize write their books, like the first draft, on the phone. Because they may have kids, they may be out doing things. Like, it makes sense to me that would be the case. Why not? Why not? The biggest thing with the first draft is getting it done. Like, you have to get it done so you can edit it and revise, I feel like. So I don't know why this is a big deal, but people lost their minds. I just think it's really funny. Really, really funny. All right, last but not least, let's do my bingo board updates. These are going to be rapid fire because, again, we have been here for a hot minute. I'm tired. I want to sit down. Maybe take a nap. Probably not. So my bingo board this month, I feel like from the Facebook Meta AI programming, actually it's plagiarism. That one's going up there. The influencer upset thing, I'm gonna say we got it because that part of the ARC police situation with the Emily Henry book is that she did not get into the Berkeley influencer program and neither did the person who got the ARC, so she was very upset about it. So that one's checked off. And then event fail. We had 2 events this month that both were not good, so that's done. So more is checked off. We'll see if we make it to June or July or not with this one before it fills up. We definitely still have some hanging on, obviously, but I'm very curious to see where we're at, I guess, come April. I'm really, really holding out hope, y'all, for a quieter month. So we'll see what happens. If you hung out this long, let me know if you think I missed anything. I hope I didn't. I know I did. Because like I said, I had to cut stuff. I had no choice but to cut things because I was not editing over an hour-long Romancelandia. I know y'all would watch it. I understand that. I don't want to edit it is the problem. And I don't make the kind of money to pay for an editor, so I'm the only option. So yeah, let me know if there's something I missed and you think I should cover in next month, or if any of this was on your bingo board if you made one this year, because I would love to know. I mean, and if you didn't make a bingo board, what do you think's hitting next on mine? Because I keep being like, there's no way, and then we had 3 this month, so here we are. You can do that down below, and if you don't do any of that, you can leave me a fingers crossed emoji, because y'all, we're hoping. We're praying for a chill April. I need it. After March, we need it. Desperately. Desperately need it. We'll do that. I'll have links to anything I can link to for you down there. Links to my friend anywhere on the internet. If you want early access to Romancelandia, you can become a supporter of the channel at the Romancelandia supporter level, which is like $1.99 a month, and you get early access to this every month, as well as the Discord, where you get to see me kind of collect all the things all month long, and my members, a bunch of y'all, help me too. Like, it's a fun time. So yeah, if you're interested, you can join that down below or on Patreon. And yeah, otherwise I will talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get away. This is what we waited for.